Hi, I'm Dr. Harry, CEO of the Wheatbelt Health Network. We've been funded through the ILC grants to produce a program called Disability Inclusion in Schools and Communities. Now, as part of that, we have the Leaders Series interviews. These are interviews with people with a disability who've made it to a leadership position. It explores their challenges, their journeys, and the sorts of things that they might see which might produce a more inclusive community. Sit back and enjoy. Here are their stories.
So how did you find, I mean, you're the youngest senator in Australia at the moment?
Yes, I am. 25.
How did you find, what challenges did you find?
We have a culture in Australia, and it's a culture around the world, that dismisses the contribution of young people because of a false conception of what life experience is.
That's right.
That draws an automatic correlation between age and wisdom, which I have never ever seen to be the case. And you only have to work alongside a lot of people who are very much older and in high decision-making positions, like I now currently do, to experience on a daily basis the fallacy of that correlation.
Hence, would you say there are certain characteristics that you've had to have in order to get where you are now as a leader?
That's an interesting question. Certain characteristics.
Like, if you keep getting knocked back, do you maybe?
I think one of the most valuable things comes from my mum's view of the world, informed through her work. Really, she always used to say to me, Jordon, and she still does, Jordon, like it's. Don't forget that we are working in a system. And the system has been created by people. For a certain bunch of people, and to the exclusion of another bunch. And nothing is naturally how it should be. These are sets of rules that can be changed and remade, and if they're not working for people, then you should remake them. And that's.
But that resilience, is it exhausting? The constant need to try and change things, or exhilarating?
It is. It's a funny old thing. Once you come to realise that nothing is permanent and everything can technically be changed, it opens up a great horizon of possibilities. And I'm a big believer in setting your goal of where you want to be. In fact, where you want to be plus 20%, because you probably lose 20% on the way going through. I think, and it is very much part of the green philosophy as well, to think big. As big as the challenge is. And we're in an era of climate crisis and all the rest of it. So you've got to think big. Because the whole world's in jeopardy.
That's right.
So I that very much helps me go forward. But there is also the sense that if nothing is permanent, then actually there is no extent to which it could stop going the other way too. When I started doing disability advocacy, I was 17, 18, 19 and stuff, and I've always had a passion for that intersection of youth and disability. Some would say self-interestedly, but actually from the point of you are working with people at the intersections of two incredible discriminations, and often you've got to navigate complex relationships and complex human rights legal intersections around parental responsibilities and the rights of the child, and all of those things put together, and a lot of preconceived ideas about what the ideal parental relationship or looks like. You know, and it's bloody complex. But also fascinating, and it forces us to ask the questions about the fundamentals of those relationships.
So do you think by you entering politics and being able to share your vision of things as somebody who's young and somebody with a disability has enhanced Parliament?
I think...
or people's views within Parliament?
It sounds very big-headed of me to say. I've enhanced Parliament. Yes,
no, but like...
So much better with me there.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Deputy President. There is a saying very well known to disabled people here in Australia, and it is simply this: nothing about us without us. Its simplicity belies its radical nature. It's a statement that when it comes to those systems and processes that shape our lives, that we must be included in those decision-making processes. In fact, that we must lead the policy discussions in relation to disability policy. It's not a high bar or a hard ask. It is certainly that which should be able to be expected by disabled people, their families and organisations, of a government which has under its responsibility a scheme as transformational and impactful to disabled people as the National Disability Insurance Scheme, and indeed has carriage and care for the Royal Commission into Violence, Abuse, Neglect and Exploitation of Disabled People. This is a simple bar which the government has not risen to in this piece of legislation. In fact, their conduct in relation to this bill has been the diametric opposite of that most basic of expectations. Let's just go through it. This bill, this ridiculous bill, which nobody can seem to draw a direct line to it coming from anywhere other than the mind of the minister. This bill went to an inquiry. At that inquiry, disabled people and their organisations gave their view, and their view was unanimous that this legislation should not pass.
Why Greens? Why is it because you felt that that's where your
in terms of
were?
political party?
Yeah, like you could have been independent, or you could have.
Oh no! You cut me. I bleed green, and I always have, and it's because of my values and the values of my family. My family are hugely social justice focused people. And also have never seen a delineation between people and the environment.
Yes.
You know, although Mum's primary work was people focused.
Yes.
And my initial arrival at the Greens, kind of light bulb moment was around. It was around a mixture of the need for action on climate change and also the horrendous ways that refugees were and are treated in our system. So I came to them initially through that, but what I came very rapidly to realise that was that if we wanted to truly deal with the issues that face disabled people, we need societal transformation, and the only movement in the business, in my opinion, it is only my opinion, but in my opinion, that is in the business of societal transformation is the Greens movement. Both of the major parties, whatever you might think of them, they're about improving the making the status quo work better for one side or another.
Yeah. Do you think we've matured at all as far as employees are concerned, in regards to, like, if fundamentally the schools are broken, how do you expect businesses and those people who have raised in that era to then be inclusive?
Well, I mean, in employment we see the same phenomena where we are rapidly confronting the reality where we will, probably within my lifetime, have to answer finally a fundamental question which has been at the heart of employment for the last 200 years, which is, do human beings live to work or do we work to live? Now, I've always been a strong proponent of the latter, in which case, actually, we're coming to a place where we need to urgently decouple the social construction of the value of a human life being measured by how economically productive that human life can be, rather than any other measurement. A friend of my predecessor, Scott Ludlam, he kind of conceptualizes it as a choice between a kind of a warm and fuzzy neoliberal vulturistic capitalism that ends up somewhere between 1984 and Atlas Shrugged, or the choice of he calls it fully automated luxury communism, which I love the idea of. But the fundamental point that they're trying to make there is actually, given the forces of given the realities of automation and the realities of a globally connected economy, at some point we will have to accept that either everybody is going to be working for $1 a day so that we can have the dignity of work, or we're going to decouple those things, implement a universal basic income or something around that, and actually find a new purpose and measurement for human.
So artists are perhaps valued as much as somebody who goes and
artists are valued and caring is valued, and because actually we have a society already that just decides that work apportioned to 50% of the population has no economic value, and so we won't recognise it at all.
And then that with that comes things like, I guess, charity, the concept of charity, and
absolutely.
Without valuing what someone is doing, you're saying, well, how much of this do we have to give to them in order for them to?
And once again, disabled folks are at the forefront of bringing into focus the urgent need for those conversations, because we are already made to work for 50 cents a day so that we can have the
and that's
dignity
supported
of
by
work.
the government.
Supported by the government, the ADE system. And again, what we see there is disabled people being placed in institutional settings where they are mistreated, underpaid, X, Y, Z, because at least they have the inherent dignity of work. That we are at the coalface of that.
Forcing that dignity of
and
work
that has
on
to
them.
change. Has to change. We have to take a fundamentally different conception of what is the source of human dignity in order to liberate our fellow disabled people from those settings. And it's a unique Australian challenge in some ways, because so much of our cultural identity, even back to the social programs that made us the workers' paradise, asterisk, white workers' paradise. That is
if you're a man.
And a man. But anyway, that whole thing was founded on a union movement, primarily coming together and arguing for the inherent dignity of the worker, which is separate and very distinctly different than the inherent dignity of work. I think there is a real need even for the union movement to reconnect with that base.
And just go back to basics.
And we'll get out of this liberal idea that there is inherent dignity in paid work. Because that in turn implies an inherent indignity in non-paid work. Which is bullshit.
Is there any, from your political career, is there any particularly inspirational leaders that you've had, like whether it be a Bob Brown or whether it be
politically,
who have inspired you?
Well, I've got to say, and she'll think I'm the biggest suck up for saying this, but in the disability activism space, Sam Connor has been my political guru, like my disability activist guru, really.
Yeah.
Because of her incredible energy and incredible fearlessness and intelligence and resilience.
Yeah.
So she's on my shoulder whenever I'm thinking about disability stuff.
Yeah.
I shouldn't always maybe take her advice, but she's always there.
And apparently so are all her scout groups who
so are her amazing
you.
scout groups. Yes, it's incredible. But beyond that, I think I take different bits from different people. My mum is a moral inspiration to me for her. There is nobody I have ever met that ever more truly embodies that soul deep passion for people and addressing inequality. And just, you can have the passion but also put it into practice. Like she's incredible at doing that. And that compass is a huge part of who I am. My colleague, Rachel Seward, who's the other senator for WA, she has been an incredible mentor for me over the past 2 years. Rachel's the hardest working parliamentarian in Parliament, and there would be no Royal Commission if she hadn't done the committee work.
Wow.
That set the groundwork for that. So she's definitely one. Also here in WA, a very good friend of mine who's currently in the role of State Director for the Greens. She's a couple of years older than me, and at moments when I've been more consumed by the outrageousness of the place, Sophie has been the one to preach hope to me, which is incredible. It's been incredibly valuable in actually realising that yes, you must be outraged because it's outrageous, but if that outrage in itself is a way in which the system seeks to render you less useful, because it just consumes you, and then nobody wants to listen to somebody just shout all the time. So that's been really valuable. And I'm also in an international sense a massive fan of Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders. Wow. So I'm very much hoping that we get a Bernie 2020 presidency. That would be
anything to get rid of Trump, really.
Oh yes, but come on, let's fix the problems that created Trump.
Yes.
Not just think that we can remove a cancerous cyst and think that another one won't come back.